and you get it set up there. I'll reorder, and let's talk about this piyyut. So Aḥot Ḳetanah, we open up Rosh Hashanah on the first evening with this piyyut. It's the very beginning of the year, and it's most of the way through a very mournful piyyut. It's called Aḥot Ḳetanah, the little sister, and we talk about the Bnei Israel in this sort of diminutive sense. The Aḥot Ḳetanah, the little sister, as a metaphor for Bnei Israel, it comes from Shir HaShirim, and we're talking about the Bnei Israel as this thing that's small and fragile and to be cared for. And as we arrive at Rosh Hashanah, we're sitting in synagogue, it's twilight, it's the very start of Arvit. It is this moment of vulnerability, of this, transitional moments. Twilight is sort of what's talked about as moments of where things are volatile, where we feel vulnerable in Jewish ritual. And the transition into a new year is sort of one of the greatest examples of that. And most of the way through the piyyut, it has this mournful tone. And then it gets to and it has a refrain at the end of every verse. May the year end with its curses. And so we repeat this again and again. It's got a lot of verses. We won't sing them all today. That we hear. Sorry, I'm trying to multitask computer things. We hear about it's we hear again and again this, let the year end with its curses, and then suddenly we hear, let the year start with its blessings. We get to the last verse and it completely changes in tone. Suddenly it's boisterous, it's empowering, and suddenly it's starting off the new year on this positive blessings note. So it's a complete change of tone. And this moment of let this previous year end, let's sort of leave behind everything we found difficult, let's leave it at the door, and let's go into this new year sort of after this emotional tashlech, throwing everything we didn't want from the last year out, and then picking up what we want of the new year, of its blessings beginning, is how we start Rosh Hashanah. That was my about the text. Be any closer to seeing text to sing it? I'm really sorry about this, everyone. I've not had share screen issues like this before, and of course this would be when they appear.
So the screen share itself is still giving you trouble?
No, I can share screen fine. It's just that the actual file won't open on my computer. Or
Oh, do you want to use the PDF that Luna posted in the chat?
Oh, which is that? Oh, it's the piyyut North America one. It's only got like 5 of the verses, but I was only going to do the first and last in this session anyway. But that won't work for the second piyyut, which isn't online, which is why I made this scan. Yes, I'm just going to share Luna's PDF instead and attempt to think of something by the second piyyut because that one isn't online.
It's your if it's the lyrics, I have the lyrics.
What, to Ḥon Taḥon?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll whip up a PDF while
amazing.
While you're teaching the first one.
You can see this. You can see this screen.
No.
Grand.
But Luna's PDF is already in the chat. Oh, and someone says that they can see the words posted.
Okay. Can we now see a screen share of the Aḥot Ḳetanah PDF? People whose video's on, give thumbs up or thumbs down. I'm getting mixed reviews.
I'm also getting a lot of no's in the chat. Maybe we can for now just like encourage people to use the PDF that Luna linked to.
Okay.
I can see. I just appeared.
Okay, amazing.
Just appeared.
So if so the reason I scanned my Siddur, Moshe, is that there wasn't a version of Ḥon Taḥon with translation that I could find online, but at this point, that's okay. So I'll use this for this piyyut, and if before we move on, you can find Hebrew words for Ḥon Taḥon online, that would be amazing. I'm very sorry that something's gone wrong with the file of the scan that I did. Grand. All right. Where were we? Can I have some water and reset? We were talking about Aḥot Ḳetanah. Okay. So I never like when sheets don't have translation side by side. I always like us to be thinking about what we're saying. So let's go down here from it. I was talking about, we've got this little sister. We've only got a selection of the verses here, but they are a good selection. We've only got a small selection of the verses here, but they are a good selection. We've got what I was just saying about this vulnerable figure. And we're trying to say each verse. Let's leave behind the previous year and its curses. And then at the end, suddenly complete change in tone. And let's start a new year and its blessings. I'm going to sing it through a few times, and then I'd like to ask if other people are happy unmuting one at a time, and we'll go through the melody in little chunks together. And since we can't all sing together as a group on Zoom, well, at least not without some fun chaos, we'll do so instead one at a time, me helping you through it. I'll just play it first and then sing it. Aḥot Ḳetanah tefilotah The tune changes slightly the next time, so I'll just do those couple again. Aḥot Ḳetanah tefilotah ve'onah teilotah Ḥqetanah tefilotah Orecha ve'onah tehilotah. Now, I'd love it for somebody to unmute now and try repeat after me out loud. And I'll say people always feel very shy at the beginning and then sort of warm up as the session goes on. But we've started with the easier song, in fact, as one often does. So if you're feeling shy, actually jump in anyway. Any volunteers?
So we can do this like people can raise their hand and I can call on them to unmute. But I can also change the settings so that people can unmute, actually.
Hannah's got a hand up. Hannah, do you want to start us off?
I will ask Hannah to unmute and also change permissions.
Amazing. So we'll do repeat after me like I was, but one line at a time. Aḥot Ḳetanah tefilotah. Your turn.
Nice. Can you hear us? Oh, right, we're repeating now, I see. Oh. Aḥot Ḳetanah tefilotah.
Great. The first half was absolutely bang on. Second half, let's fiddle with it. So we've had Aḥot Ḳetanah tefilo. Same thing twice. Tefilo. You want to try that? Just that word?
Let's try. So it's tefil. No.
Just that?
Okay.
Nice. So I can see some other mouths moving in Zoom screens, and that is good. And the reason to do this with one person is so I can also be doing it with breaking it down with all of you in your respective screens. So do be singing along with me and with Hannah and Elna wherever you, even if you're on mute. Hannah and Elna, do you want to try the whole line now? Or also if you want to go back to hiding on mute, that's absolutely fine. Up for trying the whole line? Aḥot Ḳetanah tefilotah. Go for it.
Aḥot Ḳetanah. We keep throwing each other off.
Yeah.
Aḥot Ḳetanah
tefilotah. Grand, yeah, love it. Absolutely.
That's enough, I think.
Nice. Rabbi Joan, you had your hand up before. Do you want to do Orecha ve'onah together with me?
Yes.
Great. So I'll just do it once more, and then you go for it. Orecha ve'onah tehilotah.
Orecha ve'onah tehilotah.
Nice. I am going to adjust, actually. This is grumble, grumble, grumble. Never use other people's transliterations. It's the shava under the resh here is a shavan, what we call a shavanah rather than a shavanach. It should be orecha, but they've written it ocha here, so it should be orecha. But you know, you read exactly what you were given, so no worries there. And then on slightly adjust tehilot teha, tehilot teha. These words, the emphasis is on the te. So we want to stretch out the low a little more, and then tehilot teha, rather than tehilot teha, rather than the emphasis on ha, tehilot teha. Those are both small detail things, but should we do that once more? And do you want to just adjust those small little things? Orecha ve'ona tehilot teha.
Orecha ve'ona te. I lost it. I'm sorry. Tehilot techa.
Tehilot teha.
Tehilot tehila. I'm not sure about it.
Yeah, it's a small detail, but tehilot. Just do that far. Tehilot.
Tehilot teha.
Yeah, smashed it. Perfect. Okay, great. So let's introduce the next line now. It has just the smallest change of tune. We've started off the same, like Aḥot Ḳetanah, Mahalot teha, mahalot teha, mahalot teha, mahalot teha. So we'll do the full line. Na'refana lemahalot teha. Na'refana lemahalot teha. Someone want to have a go at this one? Moshe, is that Moshe?
I have a question before that.
Please.
What is the origin in Morocco of this? Because I'm Moroccan from Fez, and we sing it slightly differently.
Okay, no. So so firstly, absolutely go ahead and sing your version. I'd be very curious to hear it. The exact variation that I'm singing now.
Yeah. Usually
to some extent, I would actually describe it as, rather than from a specific part of Morocco, Yerushalmi variation on this melody. It's the one that's become popular, as it were.
Right.
There's lots of different ways to do it. This is the one which you'll find on most popular recordings in Israel, basically.
Yeah. So in any case, because we spent the summer learning it, usually it goes, Aḥot Ḳetanah tefiloteha, orcha ve'ona tefiloteha, el na'refana lemachaloteha, tichle shana ve'kilaloteha. So it's not as stretched as your version, which may be northern of Morocco. So I just wanted to ask.
No, thank you
Thank
for
you.
doing your version. I'm not accustomed to hearing it sung quite as slowly as I'm doing it now. I'm stretching it actually more for learning purposes.
Okay.
I do have some additional notes at the end of my phrase that you don't. The little ha ha. You don't. You're just going ta ha. So there are these little differences. I mean, all of these. All of these melodies will have lots of variations like this. So thank you for sharing your version there. Do you want to have a go at the Lemachaloteha I was doing, or do you want to stick to your version?
No. I mean, have another one try. So
the you have a go at that?
El narefana lemachaloteha.
I was all spot on as the tune that I was doing for the first two lines, but what I was trying to do, this variation has like a different melody for the second last line of each verse, and it's that high note which shows lema. Do you want to try just those two syllables? Lema.
I think it's going to be difficult for me.
Sure,
for 77 years, I sang it the other way.
Yeah. No, so stick to your minhag, absolutely, as you should.
That's all right. Thank you.
Is there someone else who wants to try the Lemachaloteha melody? Caroline?
Just have a go.
Yeah. So we've got El Nawafana, same as the first one, and then Lemachaloteha.
Edna refana lemahaloteha.
Beautiful, perfect. Very nice, very nice. And then the last line goes back to our first two lines tune. Tech leshana v'kileloteha. Tech leshana v'kileloteha. Tech leshana v'kileloteha. Someone want to have a go at this last line, and this is in a way the most useful line to know because it's at the end of every verse. So if you know this line, you can just join in at the end of every verse and pretend you knew what you were doing the whole way through. Anyone for just this line? Any hands?
I can try it.
Yeah, go for it.
But can you help me with just where the notes fall in the first word?
Yeah, I'll do the whole thing once more. Tech leshana, tech leshana, v'kileloteha.
Tech leshana v'kileloteha.
Yeah, lovely. That's a whole first verse done. So I'll sing that whole first verse through once more, and then we'll move to the last verse. Or actually, looking at time, perhaps we'll move on to Ḥon Taḥon after that, actually, because we want more time for that one. It's a bit fiddlier. Aḥot Ḳetanah tefiloteha. Let's go go down to the last verse. If you don't do it all together, I still will do it because it's completely sorry, I've got error messages coming up. We love to see it. I assume you guys can't see that because it's not part of the screen share, so I'm just going to not deal with it now. If it is in the way, then say. Yeah, I'm going to sing this last verse, which, as I said, is how it finishes and how we end up starting the year. Now this is this last verse is often done to a different tune, a more elaborate version of the main tune as well, which we're not going to do because we're going to move on to the other piyyut. But still, just seeing that juxtaposition in the first part of the first and last verses textually is something I wanted to do. I meant to say, and didn't actually before I did that, this tune works beautifully just all over one note. And this is you'll hear sometimes the Hazan. I'd be curious if Moise actually has heard this. You'll hear sometimes a Hazan sing, or a Hazanit singing the melody, and the Kahal humming underneath, just a single note, particularly because this melody is also used for Kaddish on Erev Rosh Hashanah as well. So in Kaddish, the Holm can just be humming this beautiful drone, and it just richens the whole melody. So in your individual Zoom square, if you want to just and see if you can just hold that note and hear the interplay between your note and me, if you're just singing this note or humming this note and I'm singing Aḥot Ḳetanah tefilotah yitgadal v'yitqadash shemeh Abba Tichle shana v'kilelotah Solu mesilotah. Works really magically. So that's Aḥot Ḳetanah. Let's move to the second night of Rosh Hashanah. Mira, do you have a sheet for me by any chance?
Yep, the link has been sent to you in the chat, so you can take a quick look at it before you decide if it's for you.
You're a gem. I'm sure it'll be good. And it has transliteration only. I would have we will go for now. I would have Hebrew as well, but at this point I am absolutely non-fussy. I'm still very sorry about earlier. So share screen. I am actually surprised you. I couldn't see a version with transliteration when I looked, but I suppose I was looking for a version with Hebrew and transliteration. Okay, great. Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much, Mela. So this is Ḥon Taḥon. So we've moved now to the second night. We don't have translation here, so I'm gonna but we've got, interestingly, a similar sort of interplay going on. I don't know if I think it's less intentional individually in the writing of this piyyut. Aḥot Ḳetanah, that sort of growth across the length of the piyyut, is very much written into it. But this piyyut isn't written for Rosh Hashanah. What it is instead is it's 3 verses only from a larger piyyut, which is unusual. Like mostly when we have a piyyut in a service, like we sing the whole piyyut, like, commit. But here we've only got just 3 random excerpts. It's really interesting and really unusual. This is just my own drush, so I can't claim, pinch of salt and all, but I really see this same chronology that we get across Aḥot Ḳetanah, across Ḥon Taḥon as well. There is this same journey that the text for these 3 verses goes on, which I think makes it quite beautifully parallel to Aḥot Ḳetanah. Now, the melody that I'm going to do for this is specifically from the Spanish-Moroccan tradition, or from Gibraltar. As most of the demonstration briefly earlier, Moroccan traditions are beautifully diverse, and one of the main axes that this diversity happens upon is this divide between the south and the north. For historical reasons, when after the Spanish Inquisition, Jews left in huge numbers to Morocco because it was one of the most, geographically speaking, between Gibraltar and the north of Morocco is a literal stone's throw away if you have a very good arm. So we see this huge number of new immigrants coming in, and the country is sort of split into 2 different groups, Toshavim and Magashim, they get called. Those who are newcomers and those who are already dwelt in the region. And we end up with southern cities like Marrakesh having slightly more Arabic infused traditions with the existing countries that are there. Cities like Tetuan and Tangier, more Spanish influence. They spoke Haketia, which is this variation on Ladino in Tetuan and Tangier. More so Arabic in Marrakesh. Now, there wasn't a war between the 2, and you absolutely find, still very much an Arabic music culture in Tetuan, and you find Ladino being spoken in Marrakesh. But there's a tilt. There's sort of a tilt towards the north and towards the south of these 2 traditions. And then in the very interesting position in the southern tip of Spain, we have Gibraltar. When Britain took Gibraltar in the event of the Jews being accepted to the UK by Cromwell, suddenly we find ourselves in a tricky situation for the Spanish, because they're very firm there are not to be Jews in Iberia, and here they have this little bit of land that the British own, the British control, but Spain still is laying a claim to, and Spain says, now you're not to let any Jews in here because it's part of Iberia and we don't want Jews in Spain or Portugal. And Britain just doesn't enforce this. So we have this really interesting situation where for hundreds of years, the only place in the Iberian Peninsula, the only place in Spain or Portugal where you could have Jews was Gibraltar. And there was a huge Jewish population there, at points in the 18th century, reaching half of the population of the city. 4 synagogues in this single tiny city, 4 synagogues still functional today. And Gibraltar, Tetuan, and Tangier all shared this Spanish-Moroccan tradition. And this tune we're going to learn now for Ḥon Taḥon is specific to that tradition. It's a much more unusual one. Because of that, it has much less variation, interestingly, because it hasn't sort of had enough iterations so it's quite, I've only heard a few versions of it, but they've all been very consistent to this. It's rather fiddlier than the Aḥot Ḳetanah, but it's one of my absolute favorite melodies. So we'll just look at the first verse, we'll break it right down, and we'll we'll give it a go. I learned it as a child from Chazanim Mogarson and Halfon Ben Aroch in London. I'll just give it a playthrough first and then I'll sing it. Taḥon al vanecha lecha shavim ufahad lefanecha nitzavim. Ye'im et yekareu ladim ki al ken ba'u That's that. Little more to sink our teeth into than Aḥot Ḳetanah. So let's break it right down into tiny pieces. Ḥon Taḥon, Ḥon Taḥon. Be singing along in your rectangles. Ḥon Taḥon. Someone want to repeat just that after me? Ḥon Taḥon. Any hands? Adriana? Yeah, Adriana, please go for it. And you?
Ḥon Taḥon.
Great. The next bit. Alvana, Alvana, Alvana. Adriana, happy staying with us for a couple more bites?
Alvana.
Or try those two as a group. I'll do them both together first. Ḥon Taḥon alvana.
Ḥon Taḥon alvana.
Great. So the next bit is just still on this same na syllable. Alvana. Do you want to have? Great. And then after that, let me do it a few times first, and then you do it. You want to try that? Lovely. So
I just don't know which goes how to fit in with what came before.
So we'll stop them together. We'll stop them together. A step at a time. I'll do that a couple more. Sing. Yeah. Good. Yeah. Yes, lovely. And then the very last bit, much simpler. Again, let me do it a few times.
Lecha.
Great. Shavim.
Shavim.
There we go. And it's much easier. It's getting dark quite rapidly in the UK. I'm going to just put a light on. That's a bit better. I'm a little ahead of many of you time-wise. So let's put let's put the second half together. Let's put the third together.
Lecha shavim. Shavim.
Lecha shavim.
Lecha shavim.
Lovely, perfect. The second 2/3.
Let me hear it again. The echa. I don't have that. I don't have it.
Sure, you did it ground before, so let's try and break down where it's not
Okay.
where it's not quite. Oh, I say that you can also div add if you want. But yeah, you're sounding brilliant so far. So so we've got it's if it helps, it's sometimes music terms like folk people sometimes they're helpful, but it's what we call a sequence. So we've got the same thing happening twice, but they sort of overlap with each other. We've got this sort of scale down from here to here. Then we do a scale down again from here to here. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Da 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 dum, da 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 bum.
Echa lecha shavim.
Yeah. I think it's sort of the rhythm actually that throws, because so I don't know the transcription for it. One could transcribe it. This often doesn't go down well with Ashkenazi students, to be blunt. But I think it is an important part of learning a melody from a different tradition, is learning the melody also according to the pedagogies of that tradition. And therefore, I don't habitually transcribe Sephardi melodies in order to teach them. There are exceptions, the Spanish and Portuguese community have historically used sheet music, and I will use existing transcriptions from them and possibly transcribe using the specific conventions that they transcribed sheet music previously with. But generally speaking, learning a melody from a tradition is learning, it comes with everything, is learning the ways that melody is learned within that tradition, as well as learning its notes. So that's why I don't tend to present sheet music for things unless it's already out there. within the tradition. Shall we go back to sticking that line together? If somebody, yeah, I'll do that full line. We were pretty much the whole thing there. Ariane, if you want to come in to finish it off, do. But you've also been in the spotlight for a little while, so if you're wanting to run away, that's okay. Definitely a big silent round of applause for Ariane, who was sounding fantastic for that whole time. I'll do that second, third, and then I'll do the full line, and then we'll do the second half of the melody. So we had our two little overlapping scales down. I was saying 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I like, it's just the same thing, one just shifted slightly down. And let's put that with the first half. Ḥon Taḥon. First half once more. First third. Ḥon Taḥon. And then into the second half. Great. Do you want to see if you can do the full?
I'd like to give it up to somebody else.
Yeah, you've got both halves down absolutely beautifully, and sticking them together is just repetition and time. So listen back to the recording. Let's do the second half of the melody and then wrap up. So the second line is to the same melody again. So I'll just sing it through. But since we've learned the notes for that, or heard the notes for that at least, we won't put it to the word. We won't practice it with the words of that line. But then we'll, just because we're short of time, and then we'll use the third line to learn the second half of the melody. And the other thing to say is that in terms of how do we fit this melody, how do we fit where it was in the words in this line to this line, if we can't remember? Well, we can see there's the exact same word pattern. There's sort of word by word rhymes. Echa on echa, avim on avim, ahon on ahat. So you can use that to help you. And then we're back into what we know. Sorry. Word spacing now. I'm going to look at my own siddur actually, because I find it a little easier from the Hebrew. So from Ladin, it's what we know. Ladin ki the new bit is just those first three words, which are this beautiful high note, and actually much simpler, much fewer notes. I'll do just the first half, and then if someone wants to do this with me. Which volunteer to finish us off? That'll be the last bit we do.
I'll do it with you.
Who's that voice?
Cheryl on the phone.
Sounds grand. Okay.
That it?
Yeah, you've got it already. What's more, you?
Yem edikom. I don't remember the rest.
It's just the same scale down, just 2 more steps down.
Ooh.
Right. Now, were you around when I was doing the last bit with Ariana? Do you want to try and carry on through Ladin with the first part tune, or do you want to?
I would need to hear it again. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, we could do. I would say repeat. I meant repeat after me anyway. Ladin, Ladin,
Ladin. Kiyaken.
Or although I put the N on, I shouldn't have.
Kiyaken.
And beautiful. I'll do it once more.
Nekavim. Oh, that was right.
Amazing. Thank you so much. So that's Ḥon Taḥon. What's the time? It's 10 past. I'll do the full verse once more so you can hear how it all fits together.
Thank you.
And then we'll I'll stop sharing screen and say a couple of final things. And do all be singing along. Ḥon Taḥon Lecha shavim Ufachar lefanecha nitzavim Ya'im et yekareu Ladin ki alken ba'u nech avim. Now this is used as well in the Spanish-Moroccan tradition for Gibraltarian tradition for Kaddish on Ne'ilah as well, which I think says something about the sort of attachment to this man. It's God. Kadosh Shema Rabba. Same tune, Be'omad V'Achotev V'Mev Malchuteh. Ve'atzmach po kaneh v'ikaeh Mashiach. And that is the half Kaddish at the beginning of Ne'ilah, and that is a truly wonderful way to go into the beginning of Kippur. So I hope you like those melodies as much as I do. I hope you've learned things about the specifics of these specific tunes and these specific communities, but also about the diversity of the Sephardi traditions they represent, because this is not a tune. Aḥot Ḳetanah is the first one, is one of the most deeply beloved melodies of the Sephardi world. There's dozens of popular recordings of it in Israel. It's known in loads of different communities, but each still have their own little variations. And this melody, Aḥot Ḳetanah, is from a specific 2 or 3 cities and their own small diasporas of people around the world who sort of trace themselves back to those cities. And I still hang on to. And I think you see there the 2 sort of opposite ends of what melodies can be in the Sephardi world. We have a couple of minutes for questions, and also given all the tech things, I'm more than happy to stick around if people have questions that take us past the time, although obviously others may have to run away. Moise, please.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention, since you mentioned the variety, there is a very beautiful version by, I think it's Ethiopian Jews, and it's a couple that sing it, slightly different, but it's really beautiful, and you can Google it very readily.
Thank you. I will. Yeah, is that some Ḥon Taḥon you're saying, Ethiopian version of?
No, the Aḥot Ḳetanah.
It's in that. Okay, amazing. I will definitely look that up. Just looking through the chat questions. Albanecha or Albanecha? Albanecha in my siddur, yeah. I bet in my siddur. I think it's it's the sort of thing that does vary, but details like that. But yeah, that's what I've got written. Elka saying something about oral transmission. Yeah, no, so absolutely, I can very much believe that you learn faster when you see the notation. I think anyone who is accustomed to learning from notation will learn faster from notation. And if your goal is to simply learn a particular melody as quick as possible, then absolutely use notation. The reason it's that I have a sort of secondary goal, which is learning the practices of that community. And what many want from learning more melodies is to simply increase the number of melodies you know. And that is always a wonderful thing to do. But to me, there's something really important to the additional goal of getting deep inside a particular tradition. And that means, as well as learning what they learn, it also means learning how they learn. And it changes how your mind perceives music, and it changes how you learn. And if you do that for years, then you become able to learn melodies by ear as quickly as somebody who reads sheet music can learn melodies from sheet music. Like, if it's something you've spent your whole life doing, it's something that's very easy to do. So if on an individual melody from a different tradition you're learning, you want to learn that melody as fast as possible, then use sheet music. But if you want to be able to learn melodies and perceive melodies and sing melodies and experience melodies, how that tradition learns them, then that means spending many years learning the melodies exactly how they learn them within the community as well.